Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Shaleia, and what a crazy and wild ride that we're on. And
No flippin' joke.
we're not joking. As you can see from the title, uh, we have some news, and it's rather shocking to us because um, this is basically a miracle that appears to be happening.
It's some wild stuff.
Yeah,
Whatever this is wild.
beyond our conception. And, in the last video that we did, um, we experienced like what you would call a miscarriage, and my doctors and nurses confirmed that I'm experiencing a miscarriage, and that I had to wait like a week from my last HCG test, which is the pregnancy hormone. And sorry, I need to like sit up. And I needed to get a new HCG test to see, just to see if my levels are going down, because naturally it would appear and be that they would go down. And my HCG levels tested at 865.5
Dramatically up.
from 228. And that was just between 6 days. And what was happening between those 6 days was, like, I don't want to get into like crazy detail, but like really, really, really heavy bleeding. I would say almost severe, and extreme cramping, to even the point where I thought, if this pain goes up like 1 or 2 iota, like I may have to go to the ER. Like, it was that bad. And so, like, you can see, like, when we did our video about like, we had a miscarriage, like we weren't lying. Like, it did look and feel, and our doctors were telling us that we're going through a miscarriage, and this is what our HCG levels were indicating.
Well, you've got the list of your HCG levels and the dates.
I do.
So why don't you go through those?
So I will. I said, okay, February 1st is when I got my first HCG level, and it was 6.7. And if it's under 5, you're considered not pregnant. And when I talked to the nurse on this very first call, she said, this is very low. And, this doesn't seem like a viable pregnancy because it's so low. But we have to work our process. Technically, this says you're pregnant. So let's just go in for a second test, and it should double. And, statistics say that in the very beginning, when you start producing HCG, that your levels, like, it needs to be a 53% jump in HCG levels over the first 2 days. And that indicates 99% of the time that you're going to have a viable pregnancy. But that wasn't happening to me. And so the nurses and the doctors were already like apologetic, saying, it doesn't look like this is going to happen. We're really sorry. And the trend continued that way. So my second HCG test was 12.8. That's February 3rd.
The first HCG, they said it needs to at least go up by 90%. Or 80 to 100% is where they want to see it, and then
in this case
it went up like 91%. So you were in a healthy.
I was
a healthy range at the very beginning.
But they said that when they first test HCG, they want to see it at least 20, and I was at 6.7. So then my February 7th HCG was 54.4.
So that's a healthy doubling every 2 days. It happened twice. And I think shortly after that, we shot our "We're Pregnant" video.
Something, yeah.
Because it did a healthy doubling, and then it did a healthy doubling like twice over again. So it looked like we were in a really healthy space. We're clearly pregnant. Everything is headed in the right direction. We're good to go. That was February 7th. I think we shot the video like around that day or the next day.
And then on February 9th, I got my new HCG test, and it only went up by 1. It was 55.7. And
so basically,
that's when they say that, okay, like your pregnancy isn't going to work out. It's dying. And so that's when I started to like go into mourning and I guess upheaval, and I started to feel a physical release in my body and all the pain associated with that. And then on February 11th, I went up to 93.7.
So it's a once again healthy doubling, just about.
Just about.
Which was really weird, but it continued along.
Yeah, and then February 14th, I went up to 236, but then the very next day, I went down to 228.9. And so that is when they were definitely like, that was when they were like, yeah, you're definitely like, it's over. Like you went, it's
a miscarriage.
You're having a miscarriage.
They pulled her off the meds.
They pulled me off my medications. They told me to, stay on the line, like make sure I call them if anything changes or if I, and I did, like when I started experiencing like heavy, flow and stuff. But so, yeah, I mean, then we shot the video. I had finished, I would say, a large part of my grief and my grieving, although I still felt, parts of it still there. And I basically like moved on with my life. Like I was like, I gotta keep moving forward. Like
and that's what our video was like, to share the journey with you and let you know like what we're going through and how we're handling it.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, I feel better about this. We still had more grieving to do and more mourning to do, but we were definitely stepping in the direction of we're gonna move on with our lives now.
Yeah, so we, I felt like I started moving on, and like I'm like I can't just stay here in like grief and depression. Like this isn't healthy. Like I need to keep moving forward, and I need to use the spiritual tools and knowledge that I know to like heal. And Louise's hey affirmation for miscarriage was really helpful for me. It was like, I trust in divine right action in my life. I love and accept myself. All is well. And I was like clinging to that and like integrating it. And I could feel like how, like the truth of the spiritual reasons for miscarriage. I'm like, yeah, this is fear and fear of the future. It's definitely something I've been working on and healing all my life, especially coming from a really like unstable background to now moving into great stability and joy and love. So yeah, then yesterday find out that my levels were 865.5, significant. And then today, the very next day, 985. So
it looks like it's
120 points.
It's significantly increasing.
Yeah.
So
I technically, and I just got off the phone with my doctor because we were expecting my levels to go down today and yesterday, and my levels aren't. And we had an ultrasound today to see what was going on, and you can't see the embryo until your HCG level is 1500 or higher. And so the doctor, thank God I had a doctor, and technicians are great, but like I needed a doctor today to be like, tell me, your professional opinion, this is your job, and he said that like he couldn't see anything, like it's still too small. And so he didn't see anything in my uterus, and he didn't see anything outside of my uterus. So that, which is a good thing, because right now we're just trying to rule out if I have an ectopic pregnancy or not.
What is an ectopic pregnancy?
It's when the embryo implants in the fallopian tube rather than in the uterus, and that can be very dangerous.
So let's be clear. You're pregnant. There is an embryo growing inside of you.
Yeah.
And that is there's the only reason for the HCG levels, and they're rising.
Yeah, and they're rising.
Let's also be clear, you had all the symptoms of a miscarriage.
I had all the symptoms of
HCG
miscarriage.
levels were going down.
Like, I'm not...
All the doctors were like, yup, this is a miscarriage. All the information said, yup, this is a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And then we get this HCG level test, which just was supposed to be a routine check-in. You know, it should be pretty close to nil at this point.
Going down a lot.
And it's at 865.
Well, that was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Today it's 985.
And it's up even again today.
Yeah.
There is an embryo growing in you, and you had all the symptoms of a miscarriage before.
I did.
And all the doctors said, you know, you're definitely miscarriage, should not be pregnant, like, you know, it's over, grieve, move on. We did.
And you saw me. I was like in bed, and I was like hugging a hot water bottle.
For days.
And I was like taking the maximum dose of like Tylenol and like just basically managing my pain. And like you saw me and everything, like, you know, like that was like, I don't know what the frig, excuse my language, I don't know what could survive what I just went through last week. Like, I don't know.
But we saw online, like yesterday, we did a little research.
Oh, I'll link this article in the description.
Do you want to just share it?
Yeah, like this woman this was in 2020. She had like the exact same experience as me, that like her HCG levels were, I don't know if she mentioned her HCG levels, but basically she had like a miscarriage, and she went through the full grieving process and everything, and the physical experience of a miscarriage. But before she went to get a DNC, which is like it's like an abortion drug basically, to kind of finish off like releasing any kind of tissue, placenta tissue, any, you know, thing that's left from the dead embryo, flush it out of your system because it can be dangerous. She decided just to be safe, just to get a routine ultrasound, and she heard a heartbeat on the monitor, and she and her husband were shocked. Like, they were pregnant, and to her this was like a magic baby or a bonus baby, because like, you know, she'd already moved on and grieved and was like ready to, you know, start plan B or try again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that to be, and you know, I found that to be really like helpful for my situation, because, you know, she talked to some doctors that are part of like the OBGYN Association, and like I think Harvard and some other like well-known school, and they say that there can be really rare cases and situations where like this can happen, like you can have a pregnancy despite having like what would feel and be like a miscarriage, or even someone like me as well, who have had like low HCG levels and abnormal HCG level growth, and still have a viable pregnancy. And so I think in 2 days, on like Thursday the 24th or something, I think I have another ultrasound and blood work again, to see, just to keep checking in and seeing on the progression of the baby. So we, you know, wanted to share this piece of news with you, and yes, we're happy, we're excited. I'm in awe really of like this whole process, and like this does feel like a miracle to me, because I know what I went through, and like I know I wouldn't just willingly put myself out there and like say to YouTube I had a miscarriage, you know, like that was really devastating for me to go through. And you know, I'm actually a rather private person, and so I only share when called to, and everything was saying like miscarriage, and so I'm like, well, I have to let, you know, my audience know. And
we gave plenty of time to not only grieve, but watch the levels go down.
Yeah, we
and
did.
go through all the symptoms and
Right.
get the go ahead.
It was just like logical. It was just like seemed logical, rational what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But God works in mysterious and wonderful ways, and our journey is not over, and we're going to keep you guys updated about what happens when they find the embryo, if it's where it is, where it implanted, and like what's going to be our next steps and what's happening.
We should fully expect that it's going to reach 1500 HCG by all the trends.
Right.
And then we'll definitely be able to see where it is and what's going on.
I'm hoping that on Thursday we can see like what's going on. Like, I just want to know the truth, like what's going on. And I'm sure if we don't find out on Thursday if it's still too small or early to tell, then we will definitely know by the next ultrasound after the one on Thursday.
So did you tell him what your doctor was saying today about how it can still be a normal pregnancy? Just take a long time to get started?
Oh, she didn't say that.
No, did you say that?
I said that.
To them?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to say what your doctor said at the ultrasound today?
Oh, well, he said like sometimes I think there are cases where like a woman's HCG level can start off slowly and still be a viable pregnancy, and while it's like rare, like it can happen. And so to me it just shows like every pregnancy and of course every baby is unique, and I guess I'm no different. I'm in a category that would be considered quite rare. I don't know how I'm pregnant after last week. But I'm pregnant.
And that's what your doctor said on the phone today.
Oh,
You're definitely pregnant.
Yeah,
they're all baffled by the way.
They're baffled by this, and they are really unsure of what to make of all this, especially because they've been doing this for at least 30 years, some of them 20, 30 years, and like they have a very clear idea of like the way a pregnancy goes, especially through IVF, and they're just really baffled by this one. But we can only take the steps that are in front of us by continuing to do these tests, doing the tests and seeing what they say, and then making an informed medical decision based off of that. But I think that's what has scared them, is that they did do that, but my levels are inconsistent.
So I want to talk about what I think could be happening.
Okay.
And I think this is what our spiritual audience thinks is happening. And we're very reluctant to say that this is what might be happening, and we're very much focused on the facts and the data. But let's talk about the spiritual component here.
Right.
This is our twin flame journey.
Yeah.
And we've seen miracles upon miracles happen in people's twin flame journeys through our work. Over and over and over again, mountains move, seas part, and twin flames show up.
Come together, yeah.
And it's perfect.
We've seen it all the time.
And we believe this is our twin flame baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're taking the twin flame journey. And this is a journey of purifying your consciousness.
Yeah.
And so the IVF clinic is partnering with us by bringing up lots of fear and uncertainty and saying it's not normal and it's unusual and it's not going to happen.
Well, and like making me feel like so insecure and like lack confidence in myself and like my body and like this natural process. And, I'm just like, well, like based off of what I'm experiencing now, like it's really like God is on the throne, and like he's above the science community, and he's above me. So it's him who's like directing this pregnancy, and like this why like I'm just still like I'm in awe of God, because like I can't believe this, even for me, like this is like I can't believe this is happening.
Even if it ends here. Right. Even if we go in a couple days, then it's like HCG level, 2, which probably isn't going to happen based on the trend. but God is still on the throne, and God is
Right.
using this as an opportunity to purify our consciousness.
Yeah.
And the clinic has been a partner in this spiritual process of manifesting our dream family.
Mm-hmm.
And in following our hearts and working the process that is laid out before us, we purify our consciousness. We heal through each of these blocks, each step of the way, and then the next step comes up. And so what we're experiencing is the contrast, which is suffering and uncertainty and fear. And what we're continually standing for, step after step, is life, joy, love, and our family. And every step of the way, we have an option to choose that or to choose fear. And we're like, well, if there's a baby in her, why don't we just let it go? Like, let it just see what happens. We couldn't kill it by getting her off all the massive hormone injections and pills and all the crazy stuff we were doing to support it, and pulled the plug on all that. Couldn't abort it through her body couldn't abort it through the natural
means of
miscarriage process. Bled out like crazy, massive cramping, massive pain. All the doctors said, yep, you're doing a good miscarriage. Let's keep going. All right. Let's get this one done with. And then the tests show, oops, there's a baby growing in you anyway. Sorry. And they literally called and told her, we're so sorry.
Yeah.
What are you sorry about?
I know.
This was the point.
She was like so somber. I'm so sorry you're pregnant. And I'm like, this is what I came here for.
What is wrong with you people?
And I'm not gonna and I know she's expecting me to basically abuse her and be mad at her and her clinic, but I don't blame them, because they were doing what they felt was right based on their professional medical opinion and the backing of science and of the data that they have. And sometimes there are anomalies in data.
And they don't have data on me. And I'm different.
Yeah, we are different.
And our pregnancy is different. And
it is. Yeah.
Hey, we're not here to get our hopes up.
No,
we're not here to give false hope.
And I'm not mad at my doctors for basically making hope, trying to make me abort the baby. That was not, that's not their intention. And I do feel compassion, because I know they feel fearful and they're uncertain and they're scratching their heads, they don't know what's going on here. And they do have to face I know they feel this feeling this immorality of making me pull the plug, but here I am still pregnant. You're okay. Don't worry about it.
Whatever happens is okay.
Mistakes like these do happen, and you're fine. You're not gonna get in trouble or lose your license. This stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this is pretty, in a way, pretty normal, for me in my life and my spiritual life. Crazy shit happens to me all the time like this. Now this is almost next level crazy shit for me.
This is next level.
This is even I couldn't have conceived of something like this. But
this is wild.
This is wild, but this is what's currently happening to us, and we wanted to update you that we are not miscarrying. We didn't miscarry, though it appeared so. We are currently still pregnant, and right now we're kind of a medical and scientific anomaly, and we will learn more information in a couple days, and I'm hoping we can hear a heartbeat in a couple days, and
if not the next week.
But ultimately, I give this process up to God, and my worst fear really came true already. The miscarriage and all that. And so at this point, it's I'm so unattached that whatever happens is okay with me. I'm just like ready to move forward, and whether
Either direction,
either we proceed and this baby continues to grow and I grow her to term and we have a healthy, beautiful baby, or the pregnancy doesn't work out and
actually miscarries.
Miscarry that, and then we start to try to have children naturally. Like, I really don't care. I don't care. Like, it's just like God's on the throne, and I choose to align myself with God and His will. And like, my experience of life has only been like that God loves me, and that God always brings me towards my greatest and highest joy, and ever closer into union with Him, not separate from Him.
So we know one thing for sure. And this is through an enormous amount of data, not only on our lives working this process, but the lives of every single one of our students who's worked this process. And here it is. When you work the process, you get closer to God.
Yeah.
And this is why we're really unattached about whether our dream comes true now or never or later, or whether it comes true how we might expect or in unexpected ways or some form of, none of that actually matters. That's just the content. What matters is that we get to be closer to God when we work the process that we teach.
Yeah.
And this is the teaching of union.
I did, and I felt like I went through a true spiritual rebirth and a transformation last week. And I was truly grateful. And like, if you saw in the video we did about the miscarriage, where like I start to cry, because like that was truly like how I felt and how I still feel. And like, I really arrived at like a deeper spiritual understanding and like a transformation. And it just makes me once again so grateful for the power and the hand of God, because I mean, wow. I mean, this isn't even anything compared to like what God's plan for each and every single one of us. And I desire to see God's plan fulfilled in my life, and I desire that for you too. And you can't even, and I can't even fathom like the fulfillment of God's plan in each and every one of us. It is so utterly divine and so beautiful. So thank you everyone for your prayers from the last video and your well wishes. I really felt that. It was very comforting for me. Thank you to those people who reached out and, you know, were very consoling. It did help me because I was not feeling all that great.
Your loving response was beautiful.
Yeah.
And humbling.
Yeah, and we really appreciate it. So
yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we hope that you enjoyed this video too, and that you keep following along on our journey. We really enjoy sharing it with you and revealing how God works in our life.
So thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next video. God bless.
God
and
bless.
Namaste.